So, track laying begins again, and I managed to get the first curve in and round and stuck down. It's had a good overnight to dry, so now ready to start working on the next piece. I need to just cut the rails. One slight issue, just got to have a look at the track. This is a bit I recovered from the previous layout, took it up, and unfortunately when I was taking it up, the rail has popped out of some of the rail chairs, so I think I'm going to have to cut this piece short so that I can actually not use the bit that's got it, because otherwise what you end up with is a little hump, because the rails won't sit down into the sleepers again properly, and it just doesn't look right. So just inspecting. In fact, got quite a few places. Another one at this end. There's a whole little group there. So at this point you go, perhaps I won't reuse this whole length, I'll get a new length, put that in, and that will be easier. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Fresh piece of track. It's going to work quite nicely. It's got a very short piece to join into the existing board, but that'll be useful if ever I need to separate the boards again. It'll give me somewhere I can chop it. So what I need to do is to trim the rail length on the piece that's already glued down, cut off the chairs ready for the rail joiners. I need to put some droppers on for power. So yeah, okay, let's get on. Let's just cut these square. I've tried lots of different ways. I've tried using hacksaws, but I found Dremel with a cutting disc works quite well. Bit of noise now. Found that using the side of the disc just to take off any of the burrs is useful, and then I'd normally use a small needle file just to square it up, and also to just give a little bit of chamfer to make it easy to get the fish plates on. That's the word I was thinking of. Important thing when using the Dremel to cut the rail is not to press too hard, because if you press hard it can bind and then it will rip the rails out of the sleepers, which doesn't really help. So just get rid of those little bits. Little file. Take any rough edges off. As I say, just put a slight chamfer on the foot of the rail just to make it that little bit easier to get the fish plate on. Okay, now to put the fish plates on, need to just trim off the chairs for the last sleeper. It's one of the reasons why I try to avoid having a joint on a curve, because you sort of lose two sleepers where there is no support, sideways support for the rail, which does mean it can sort of kink if you're not careful. I'm sure there's probably a way around the problem. Let's get those off. Okay, and then pop on some fish plates ready. Ends of fish plates, because they come in pairs and you have to sort of break them apart or snap them, it quite often ends up with quite sharp little ends on them, and when you try and push them on with your fingers it sort of hurts. so hence using a pair of pliers just to do the pushing. Second one on. Okay, 2 fish plates. So I'll now get on with trimming this up, cutting a little piece of track to go in there, and then we can get on with gluing it down. So now before I put the track in, need to put a couple of droppers on. I've just cut back the plastic where there was on the flexi track there's a break, and I've got a couple of pieces of wire, one red, one black. Just trim the ends. Okay. Now I've just discovered I've been using my cutters, and obviously I've used them on something a bit too tough, and I've left little notches in, so I'm going to have to get myself a new pair of cutters. I mean, I think they're only cheap ones off eBay, but a bit annoying. Anyway, so I've got 2 wires, one red, one black. Just tin the wires, and then we just need to get in and get a bit of solder onto the rails themselves. What I have found is sometimes it is worth just getting in with a needle file and just roughening up the surface on the bottom of the rail, just to help to get a bit of solder stick. So we'll get in there. Okay, and so I'm adopting Charlie from Chadwick's policy, black to the back, which means when I solder it on, I need to have black to the front because the rails are upside down. Just getting the solder hot and keeping it still. Okay, I'll get the red wire on. Move just a fraction then. So one of the problems with solder is that if it moves while it's setting, it can go crystalline, or cooling I suppose rather than setting, but it can go crystalline and can become a high resistance joint, which isn't very good when you're trying to use it to feed power to your trains. Anyway, so there's my red and black. So the next thing to do is to just position it in the right place, mark the hole and drill a hole for that, and then I'll go to the other end of the track. So that's the long piece roughly in position. I've found a small piece of track that's not been, it's been glued down, but it hasn't been ballasted in the past, so this could be quite useful. So you've got a couple of fish plates on which I need to get off. Get those off to start with. Right, so now have a look and see which that's been trimmed already, so it's a case of just measuring up. Okay, that's plenty long enough, just a matter of marking it. What I've found again is a needle file, square one. It's quite useful just to scratch the surface at the right place, make a little notch. Measure twice, don't you? There. Once that rail finishes, where does that finish? Just under that sleeper. So that's about there. So I've now got 2 little cuts, or grooves, and now I can use the Dremel to cut it. What I'm going to do first though is to get rid of the sleepers I don't need. It happens to be useful as a joint. There we go. pull those away a little bit. So make a little gap where the cuts are, and then I can get in with the Dremel and cut off the rail. Got a little bit of spare rail at this end, but I'm not too fast. I can always insert an extra sleeve if I need to. Okay, so that's our bit of track cut to length. Which bit was I using? This bit. Oh. Okay, right. So that looks about right. In fact, we need to just take another sleeper off. Oh. Okay, let's do that. Okay. File up the ends. As I say, just a little bit of squaring off, get rid of any marks, and I find just to say, just put a little bit of a chamfer on. Just makes it so much easier to get the fish plate on, particularly if it's an insulated fish plate and it's the plastic. You haven't got the same resistance as you have with metal, so it makes just anything that makes the life a little bit easier. Then we just need to trim off the chairs. One. I'm trying not to break the sleepers too much, that's why it takes a little moment or two. And the next one. So let's come off. And lastly, that one. Okay, it's off. Okay, so I've got my bit of track. I've got some fish plates which came off that again. So I'll put those back on. One and two. Okay, so that little bit of track now can go onto my two insulated fish plates at the end of my double slip. Just need to get the sleeper underneath, that's it. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, so I haven't quite got the rail lengths right. Looking at it, one of them's just a fraction long. I haven't got it the wrong way around, have I? I have. Stupid me! Managed to get it the wrong way round. Oh well. Never mind, we'll just turn it round. Won't do any harm. I thought it looked a bit odd that both rails weren't quite the right length. Okay, that looks better. So just pop that in. Okay. What I haven't done. Ha. See, you always forget things, don't you? I hadn't trimmed off the chairs on that first sleeper on the long piece. Stupid boy. Never mind. Easily done. That's why it's always worth doing a dry fit rather than doing straight to gluing, because if you've got this all covered in Copydex and you're trying to fiddle around, then you're ending up getting your fingers all messy. Anyway, that's those in. That looks pretty good. So with that all lined up, now it's just a matter of putting down some glue and sticking it in place and get on with that. So welcome back on a cold, frosty November morning. The shed is not that warm this morning. I've just put the heater on. If my hands are shaking, it's because I'm shivering. Anyway, you can see that since the last time I filmed a little bit, we have some progress. One of the tracks now goes all the way around and actually joins up onto the terminal station. I'll show you that in a second. And the other track has started to come round and has reached this point here. And so I have another section of rail, brand new, to put in place to head down towards the terminus, and then I'll need to put a little small piece in to join it up. So that's the next little job. Just to show you, looking the other way, you can actually see the first track is connected onto the terminal station. So that's what the aim for the other track is today. So the next piece of track, dry fitted, just to get the length of the curves right, just making sure it's going to fit. It's going to need a little bit of bending as I glue it down. Also just worked out where I'm going to put the droppers. So need to drill a hole there and then solder some dropper wires on, and then it'll be a case of gluing it down with a good old Copydex. So droppers attached. Now it's a case of slapping on some Copydex. I'm reasonably liberal with it so that it gives a good bond. I've just started a new pot, so it makes it so much easier. I know it's a little bit cold in here, so I'll leave the heater on for a little while just to help this dry. Advantage of the Copydex, I find, is that it is a little bit flexible, so even in as the temperature changes, things can move a little bit. It's also reasonably easy to prise the track off again without too much damage if you need to. And it grabs quite quickly as well and dries within a few hours in a warm day. I think today it's going to take a little bit longer, so probably later on this afternoon before I come back and have a look at how it's done, and then work on fitting the last little piece in to join the two. So that's the glue on. Let's put the track into the sleepers, the fish plates at the end. Come on, in you go. Get one in, the other one doesn't want to go in. There we go, that's better. Just wipe those a bit. Okay. And then here's the flat nose pliers just to pull the rail right in so that it's good and tight. Okay, and now pull the jumpers down. They help to hold it in place. Pretty good. So I think a long piece of wood on the top, and then plenty of suitable weights to hold it down. There we go, so that should now hopefully dry, and as I say, we'll leave that now for several hours to go off, and then we will work on the last little piece to join it onto the terminal station. And I suppose the other thing I could do is work on the head shunt, although might just leave that for the time being. So hopefully the first track has now dried. Just about to uncover it and see what we find, and then I'm going to stick down a bit of track for the head shunt. It's actually the original bit, so it's got a bit of ballast and stuff on it, but I think it'll be okay. I've looked at it, seems to be in quite good condition. So we'll unload some wooden blocks, some coils of wire, and then we'll have a little look and see. Okay. So the glue hasn't quite dried, but at least it is stable enough, I think, to leave it. I might just put a weight back on in a minute. In fact, I think what I will do is just put that board back just to protect it and keep it stable. Like that. I'll put a bit of weight on it in a minute. Okay, so let's put some Copydex down and glue this bit of track in place. Already had some jumpers on it, or droppers. Just drilled a hole ready, so that's in and through. So just dollop on the glue. Of course, the difference between the tracks up here, which are on the scenic area, and the ones underneath, is that the ones underneath just are held in with the Copydex, whereas up here, of course, once I ballast, the ballast with the PVA in it will hold the track in position, which might be why it was the tracks in the lower level which didn't have ballast, which moved and caused some of the derailment problems, which led to all this work. So hey ho. Right, let's some glue. Let's pop the track down. There we go. Pop it on. Okay, now I need to just find something to hold it in place. I'm sure I had a piece of wood somewhere. But can you find these things when you're looking for them? Nope. It's probably right in front of my nose, but never mind. Anyway, we'll pop this bit on down here. I think that'll hold that bit. And fit down here, hold it in place. Okay, so I'll put those on there to keep that down. Put that back on there. Just wait. That on there. A few blocks of wood. Job's a good one. Well, as you can hopefully see, the tracks are now in and joined up. The glue's still drying a bit, but a bit impatient to have a go. Head shunt's down, but I haven't just connected up the last little bit. So just see if we can get the 37 to run round and into the terminal platform, and then we'll perhaps see if we can manage to run it out on the other track and see how it goes. So here goes. This is it. Haven't tested it yet, so you are watching just like me with bated breath. So the 37's just coming round from the middle station. Well, that looks pretty successful. So I'll just get the 37 on the other end, and then we'll come back and see if it runs out okay. So be back in a second. Okay, so it's going to come out underneath the camera legs, so hopefully it will appear. It's just starting out the platform. Oops, I changed the points. Oops, just in time. Yeah, it just caught on the camera then. There you go, you can see it making its way round. That's much better with the it being level. Slightly gentler curve as well, so it doesn't look quite so bad, so that's really good. Really pleased with that. That's, I think, a result. As you might be able to see, I've also started painting the backboard. Just used some brown acrylic, raw umber in this case, just to blank out the backboard before putting any of the ballast on or anything. So what I've got to do is just down the bottom here, you can see, just got a bit of track still to do here to join the head shunt in, and then finish painting off the brown, and then we can start ballasting. But before I do that, I will actually run a few more trains around, just make sure that everything is good, and also give it a really good vacuum, because I can see there are bits around that need to be cleared up. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed that, and as you can see, progress has been made. So I'll let this dry overnight, run a few more trains tomorrow, check everything works okay, finish off the head shunt, and then we'll be cooking on gas, as they say. Hope you enjoyed watching.